G'day folks, and welcome back to Bushy's Blacksmithing. Today we are going to make some steak flippers out of old crusty railway spikes. Come and check it out. So the first step is picking out some spikes. Now a steak flipper doesn't need to be particularly big unless you are making one for like a bigger barbecue and things like that. Most of our steak flippers are around the size for a medium-sized barbecue, or if you want a really small one for a frying pan, we'll go for something in between, all right? Something, spike's about that size. Now that one's a bit clean, it's a bit nice. We'll save that for a bottle opener. That's more like it. Something with a bit more rust, a bit more of a taper in it already. Because yeah, that's not going to make a very good bottle opener. If we're going to make a video, we kind of need to make more than one. There's a couple of different styles that I can do this as well. So we'll start off with 3 and have a play around with it and see where it takes us. No messing around, let's get them heated up. Making steak turners is just time-lapse gold, the first step especially, so let's cut to a time-lapse. All right, so that last one, presuming get it in order, that last one needs to be it's cleaned up a little. It's a slightly different style to the other 2. So we'll take the drawing dies off. We'll run her on the flat dies for a bit. Just a quick pass. Right, so we've got 3 different styles. We've got a straight, just forged texture. It's got a taper all the way down, and it's going to have the hook on the end. Now this one here, it's going to have a twist in the handle. It's a bit thicker in the handle. It tapers down quite quickly, and then it's a bit more straight, like throughout the shank. And then the next one is a twist in the handle with almost no taper at all. It's a really kind of the same thickness all the way down. So 3 very different looks. 3 very different feels. These 2 are a bit more similar, but they're also actually a bit different from the one on our website. So go take a look at that and see what you think, and let us know which one do you like the best. We're not actually going to hit it very hard because it's already very close to where we need it. It's going to smooth it out. Use that little radius on the leading edge of our hammer there to pinch forward. It's a 4-pound hammer. Now most smiths use a slightly lighter hammer, or even a hammer half this weight. It's a lot more traditional, but because I don't do much hand forging, I use a heavier hammer just to get those quick little heats in there. It gets a bit more done. Plus, it's what I started with too, so, you know, self-taught here, so. Pretty nice. I love that. I love that textured forged finish. It's got that beautiful kind of organic sort of feel to it. Make really good tent pegs too, actually. So that's the course grit done. It rips the material off pretty quick, but it does leave a little bit of a rough finish. So we'll get a nice finish on with this. So they're all cleaned up for now, ready to go back in the heat. Now we're going to make sure they're nice and straight. We're going to bend the hook on the end, get that shaped up. And the last thing to do is heat the whole thing and quench it at a nice high temperature. Now this is a pretty low carbon steel, so it will actually just harden like to a tough state rather than a really hard brittle state, which will require actual tempering. These will just go really tough and quite hard, you know? So that's the plan. So let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, very good. Just the right size. Smooth. Get that end in. All right, so I've already mentioned the quench. Now, it's not just to toughen them up, it's not just to harden them, it also releases the scale. So when you heat steel, it gets a layer of oxide, and at different stages of that layer forming, sometimes they're flaking off, other times they're just forming and they're still bound very tightly to the surface. So if we get them really hot, then they're in a state where you dunk it in the water and it will just release any scale that's on the surface. It makes it super easy to clean up, and it just, yeah, without doing it, you're not going to get them clean in a time frame that's economical, you know, for the business. So they're just heating up now, and it's, yeah, one of the more exciting parts where we throw that yellow hot steel in the water, get all the steam and the, yeah, it's pretty fun. Beautiful. All right, so the heat has excited those molecules to the point where they've become quite reactive to the oxygen in the atmosphere. The oxygen is getting drawn in by the convection currents and it's bonding to the surface. It's creating oxide layers on the surface. I'll just blow away a bit of dust here. And Charlie can get some close-ups in the light, pull them off, and then we can spray them. So just rather than just sitting around doing nothing while the steak toners cool down, I just thought I'd quickly write on here the things, the punches. Yeah, for punching the writing on the workpieces. Have you never seen those before?
No. The letter punches.
Yeah, so instead of looking at the top and, you know, like that's pretty grubby, you can't really read it, you just look on the side and go, oh yeah. Here we go. Last step. So this spray is a gloss lacquer Protects the steel quite well. To a point. You don't want to leave this out in the rain or in the dew, you know. You don't want to put this in the dishwasher. You still need to treat it like a carbon steel. So we spray the handle and we wax the hook because we don't want the spray getting in contact with your food. So I'm sure it'll be okay, but this stuff really makes it pop as well. It makes that colour really flash. Give them a couple minutes. Just about ready to use on our little lunch we're going to cook in a minute. So just got to wax them up and melt that on there. That'll protect the steel. A little bit of beeswax mixed with neat's foot oil. So it's a really kind of a natural product there that it's not going to hurt you if it gets in your food or whatever. Plus most of it comes off with the cloth anyway. But we'll get them waxed up, we'll get them packed up, we'll head home, get a fire going, and next shot will be a nice steak getting flipped. So there we are, folks, your good old steak flipper. Nothing fancy, just good old practicality. Now, if you want to buy one, jump on the website. If you want to make one, jump on the website, book yourself a workshop. Come down and we can make one, and a bunch of other stuff. If you book a half day, we can do much more than just make one steak flipper, trust me. So yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.